into society with its capability of efficient spread and morbidity and mortality. That was it. But what could have been different, and this is something that people are going to reflect on, when this is all over, as they try and analyze what actually happened, is that if we had known that this was highly transmissible early on when it was just in China, I think other countries would have maybe been more quick on the trigger to try and inhibit travel from China to their country. Because remember, it started in China, and then China, by the fact that there are so many Chinese people and travel is part of our daily existence in this planet, that there would maybe have been more attention paid to the possibility that just pure travel from China in general, but certainly from Wuhan and the Hubei district, is something that could start an outbreak throughout the world. So that delay in transparency, I think, likely had an impact on what I just said. The awareness that this could seed the rest of the world.
All that points right back to Chinese officials, doesn't it?
Looks that way.
And I want to be careful about how I ask you this, but there are reports that there have been threats made against you, that security around you has been increased. And the question I have is this job more than you thought it would be? Is it now something more than you bargained for?
Judy, as I've said often, this is the life that I've chosen, and I accept it. It is what it is. The thing that I don't like is the effect that it has on my family.
Well, we know you are working around the clock, and the country is very grateful. Dr. Anthony Fauci, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Very good to be with you.
In the day's other news, the combination of huge job losses in March and surging coronavirus deaths sent Wall Street tumbling. Is with us again to tell their stories.
This week, desperate pleas for medical reinforcements went out from many of the nation's governors.
Administrators, doctors, nurses, we are calling on you to step up and step in and meet this moment.
We need to have folks who are willing to come return to service. If you don't have a healthcare crisis in your community, please come help us in New York now.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said 1 million additional healthcare professionals would soon be needed there, a state that has become the epicenter of the pandemic in the U.S.
I'm volunteering because this is the way that I can continue to give back, to New York City. I'm a lifelong New Yorker.
Dr. Jane Bedell spent years treating sick patients during the AIDS crisis and for several decades was a primary care physician and public health official in the Bronx. She retired in February and was set for a trip to Wyoming with her son this week.
I had planned kind of a very unstructured, kind of lackadaisical approach to retirement, honestly.
But 2 weeks ago, the 63-year-old scrapped those plans and instead signed up for the New York City Medical Reserve Corps.
I feel compelled, even in retirement, to step a little bit forward in this moment and to give back in whatever small way that I can and to join with my city in this response.
Another potential source of help, immigrant doctors. Some states like New York and New Jersey are granting immigrant doctors who fall short of some requirements temporary licenses. The Migration Policy Institute estimates some 165,000 health workers who were foreign-born have skills that aren't fully utilized because of rules requiring them to relicense or retrain. And in states with some of the highest numbers of cases, medical schools are now rushing to graduate students early and assigning them to hospitals most in need.
I just virtually graduated from medical school.
On Tuesday, Lauren Caldwell became a doctor while sitting in front of a computer for the University of Massachusetts Medical School's entirely online graduation. She missed the chance to walk across the stage in a cap and gown, but her training will be put to immediate use in one of the university's healthcare facilities.
I'm full of emotions. I don't know if I should be excited, happy.
This definitely isn't how I imagined it, but I'm really excited.
Dr. Taylor Shortsleeve is one of Caldwell's classmates. He feels both enthusiasm and uncertainty right now.
My mom's an NP, and she does primary care. She's particularly worried about me because, the mother-son relationship. She doesn't want me to come down with the coronavirus. I had asthma as a kid, so I'm a little worried myself. But other than that, I kind of quell everyone's fears by saying we're going to be protected, and this is my calling. This is what I want to do.
Newly graduated doctors likely won't see the most critically ill patients, but some other young doctors are already in the thick of it and are being put to the test.
Nobody ever thinks that they're going to go into residency and get hit, by a pandemic.
Reina Gonzalez came to New York from Puerto Rico 2 years ago to start her residency in internal medicine at Mount Sinai Beth Israel Hospital.
I've been receiving a lot of these patients. It's really tough because they come really short of breath. They really say, I can't breathe. I can't control this fever. Being with that first patient, but I'm like, I really want to help you, but at the same time, I don't know what you have. I don't know how this can affect me, my life, my loved ones. It's the uncertainty, not knowing. We're doctors, we're researchers, we're scientists, we're used to knowing, having the answers, and not knowing. It's something we're not used to, at least I'm not used to.
For older doctors like Dr. Bedell, some of the personal risks are even higher, especially since she's a recent cancer survivor with hypertension.
My family put a lot of work into my recovery, for which I am forever thankful, and my neighbors and my friends, and this might just piss them off if I got sick.
That's why some have questioned whether it's prudent for retired doctors to come back. Dr. Bedell says she'll likely not be assigned to high-risk jobs, but instead offer support to take pressure off of other doctors.
I don't want to clog up an emergency room spot or a hospital bed or, oh my goodness, no, do not have anyone on a ventilator that you could have prevented from using that unbelievable, valuable resource.
These will be our first days and weeks as doctors.
But for graduating students like Columbia's Maggie Bogardus, the crisis offers a unique opportunity, and she says she's grateful to serve in this moment.
What I'm going to take with me is how much it's brought people, specifically in the health world, together. I have been seeing and hearing really incredible things and unprecedented things in terms of what people are willing to do and how they're willing to help. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. I think it's a really poignant reminder as we're starting off on our careers.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
And now we turn to the analysis of Shields and Brooks. That is syndicated columnist Mark Shields and New York Times columnist David Brooks. Hello to both of you. We are keeping our distance from one another as we know we absolutely have to do. When we were together the last time, the three of us, it was 2 weeks ago, and at that point there were 15,000 coronavirus cases in this country. 200 deaths have been recorded. 2 weeks later, it's 270,000 deaths and 270,000 cases, 7,000 deaths. How are we doing as a country, David, in getting our arms around this?
Yeah, and in 2 weeks we could be seeing another higher shoot up in those lines. I don't think we can say things are confidently being handled. What's happening to the Comfort, the naval medical ship in New York State, is something of a regulatory travesty. The fact that tests are a third, some of them are failing by a third, positive, negatives, positive, or false positives, false negatives. Some of the uniforms and supplies are still not getting to New York State. So it does not look like we have mobilized the way you would think a country with a first-class Defense Department or a first-class set of bureaucracies would mobilize. And so it's worrisome. Take aside from all the politics. It just doesn't seem like competence.
Mark, what does it look like to you?
Well, I don't disagree, but I would add that at least there's a consensus now, if not unanimity, that this is a serious, grave national calamity. The president's moving on it, I think, made a difference, and he's brought with him the folks at Fox News who bring with them a very large chunk. There's no longer any body in the country that argues that this is some sort of a Democratic hoax to jeopardize the president's reelection. But there has not been that assumption of national leadership, at least of a constant and consistent manner. And that I think remains a problem.